You're listening to the Dibbly Dobbly Podcast. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, and click the bell to make sure you get the latest episodes of the podcast. Be sure to like and share our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. So, we're going to be talking about your favourite subject, Gabe. I'm going to be talking about umpiring and technology. Ooh. So, Gabe, I'm sure umpires are not on your Christmas list.
Oh, boy.
No.
You know, here's the thing. And you mentioned earlier, it's funny because I've always asked, I always say, umpires are the most loathing people on the face of the planet. I always say on my streams or on some of the videos, I like that. Does anybody know an umpire? No, because they probably hide the fact they're umpires. They don't go around broadcasting it like, what do you do for a living? Oh, I work for sanitation. You know what I mean? Or, what do you do for a living? I don't know. You make something up, just anything but an umpire. They're up there, they're low. It's a tough gig, and I get that. And you're going to make your case for umpires. But here's my biggest issue with umpires. I think that they have become a part of pretty much every game that they're in. I should not know an umpire by first name, all right? The sporting fans should not know umpires by first name. And so many of them have become a part of the game, and you can see that a lot of their calls are almost designed to, to get that attention. And I absolutely hate that. I loathe it. And the reality is some things you can do, some things you can't do. And if your eyes are going, I get it. Listen, I'm getting up there in age. I'm in my 40s. But if your eyes are going and you can no longer make the proper call, then it's time to go. It's time to get them out. But I don't remember that the last time an umpire was taken off the field for being unfit. And I think my final thing with umpires is that there's no accountability, at least in American sports. Umpires are walking around with impunity. They do what they want to do. They could blow whatever call they want to, and they're still gonna get their paycheck. They're still gonna, you know what I mean? Like it drives me absolutely insane. And it's like people are so passionate about sports. We dedicate so much time, money, and energy into sports. Yes, understand our frustration. And if you blow a call, I get it, you're human. But if you're notoriously or chronically blowing calls, then maybe this is the wrong occupation for you. All right. That's just, my 2 cents.
Nick, your thoughts on umpires in general?
I mean, I don't hate him as much as Gabe does. You got to understand our baseball background and the history of baseball and umpires, and you'd understand a lot of where Gabe's coming from. I agree with what he's saying that umpires should not be the difference in a game. You don't want to lose a game, especially the playoffs or a championship, because of a bad call, especially if it's one of those situations where you don't really understand where that bad call came from. And the tough thing with cricket is the umpires, they're like God. They're the end all be all in a lot of instances. And, when they put that finger up or they don't put that finger up and they review it, umpires call holds so much weight, and it does in other sports too. But it's just like in other sports, if you can see that the call was wrong, they reverse, at least in American sports. And it's because we don't fully understand umpires call and the half of the ball and the 3/4 of the ball, that kind of, if it hits the stumps, it hits the stumps. And I don't want to hear about technology and trajectory or whatever. So it's that part of it's aggravating. I don't hate umpires. You have to have umpires. I definitely don't want robots. I definitely don't want technology making the decision on everything, because that would not be fun. I definitely don't want players going after umpires if they're angry, because you have to be respectful and you have to understand this or that. But it is frustrating when you see one side seem to get that finger a lot more than the other side. And I don't care what side you're rooting for. That shouldn't happen. It should be unbiased. It should be consistent. If it's not a wicket in the first innings, it shouldn't be a wicket in the second innings.
That's right. Well, actually, I am an umpire myself, so I should stick up for the brotherhood, for our fellow brothers in arms, I should say. But no, as you said, Gabe, it is a tough job. And the ICC have done many things to help umpires in terms of technology. DRS is a benefit for them. Obviously, you've reacted to many videos with Steve Buckner. You can see some of the shocking decisions he's made over the time.
Brutal.
Yes. And they do cost games in the end. That's why they brought it in to eliminate the howler, which is the absolute obvious mistake. But teams use it more as a tactic now, really, just because they can. And if you believe it's out, don't review it. If you don't think it's out, then review it and challenge and do the T sign. Yep, I'm going to go upstairs. Yep, okay. LBW caught behinds and that. But, it is a tough job. And I like where the ICC are going with it, helping the umpires more in terms of the third umpire, helping out a bit more in terms of the front foot and the short runs, for batsmen touching in, completing runs. That's what a short run is.
We know 2019, New Zealand, England.
Yep, overthrows. Yep, it gets complicated. You need to be a mathematician as an umpire when overthrows are involved. Because when it goes for 4, how many runs they're crossing, all that, and it's a tough business. But with DRS, it allows us to measure the accuracy rating of umpires as well.
Right.
And I think the ICC should make these stats available so we know how all umpires are tracking.
Right.
Obviously, some of the best umpires got an accuracy rating of 95.1, which is pretty good. You're not going to get 100. Now, these stats are got from like last year, so those numbers are going to be a bit different this year. But I think Michael Goff, who umpired in the WTC final, that's his accuracy rating, with the numbers were taken back then, 95.1. And the lowest, really, in terms of accuracy ratings, have been in the 60s. A couple of them have been in the 60s. Some of those umpires are no longer on the elite panel because there's 2 panels in international cricket in terms of umpiring. There's the elite panel, which is the 12 members, and then the international panel is like the second panel. So you have 4 members from each country in that panel that the cricket board chooses. So they sort of fill in for the elite panel who can't do all the games because the elite panel are going to do all the games. Right? So that's how it works there. But really, umpiring, it's a big part of cricket. Technology, umpires call. People, the 50% of the ball, is it hitting the middle of the off stump or outside of the off stump, the top of the bails, the wicket zone? Really, people get confused with LBWs. LBW is a simple law to understand. But with DRS and umpires call and technology, it's confusing more people. And they tend to get confused and not understand it. So the ICC will want to, they've said, make it more easy for people to understand what is umpires call. It's basically a margin of error for the umpire. So it's sort of his fallback sort of thing, really. If he gives the decision out, it stays out, not out, vice versa, which happens. So, umpires, they get abused and all that stuff, which I don't think it's acceptable at lower levels, really. Now, I'm speaking not international cricket, but lower levels of cricket, parents and stuff abusing umpires for decisions and that. That's not tolerated. Let's just state that. That shouldn't be tolerated.
Right.
Because that does happen. With parents, get, angry and upset about that.
Oh, trust me. And I'm not perfect. I've had to be escorted off of a field or two, especially when I was coaching. Not as a parent, but when I'm coaching, I will get into it with an umpire if I think the call is wrong, simply because, first and foremost, you're not, I think that if I feel a umpire is being vindictive and calling balls or strikes because, I may be chirping about something else, then you're really taking it out on these kids. You're not taking it out on me. You know what I mean? If you got a personal problem with me, you can see me at the game. You know what I mean? But yes, there should never be a place for, parents getting involved. And, I've got to be better about that. I really do. I think the biggest thing is the umpires that don't own up to their mistakes or can't handle criticism. And from the coaching standpoint, you know what I mean? I've seen, especially in American sports, if you go and address, you can't say anything to an American League umpire in baseball or National League umpire. Major League Baseball umpire, you complain about a ball or a strike, like, hey, I think you missed that call. You're tossed. You're gone. And it's that simple. And you just demonstrably, hurt the other team because you can't take the criticism. Well, you took the job. You know what I mean? It's like it comes with inherent criticism because you're going, you're making decisions, and if they're incorrect, you're going to hear about them. You know what I mean? And I think to not acknowledge the fact that you can be wrong or did make a mistake has always been my biggest issue with umpires.
Yeah, that's right. And umpires do that. They do learn from their mistakes. You're taught to assess, self-reflect what you did right and what you did wrong, as a general rule of thumb. And, most umpires who come up through the pathway want to do the job. They're passionate about the job. They want to be international umpires. It's a hard gig to get into. It takes years of practice. It's like playing. It's a craft. The more you do it, the more better you'll get at it with practice. And that's what I do. I practice and you get better at it. You ask people for ideas and, your job as an umpire is to umpire. You don't favor one side or the other. You don't care who wins. All you care about is just doing your job to the best of your ability. I think we tend to lose that sometimes in perspective. Or criticize umpires because they make a mistake, but put yourself in their shoes in that high pressure environment. It's a tough gig, but
I get it's a tough gig. The tough thing for me, and this is coming from a fan's perspective and someone learning about cricket, is these athletes, they are criticized to every degree, right? For everything they do, everything they don't do. And I'm one of the ones that will criticize Virat Kohli, and I'm an Indian cricket fan, for crying out loud. But when it comes to a big sport, if we're going to criticize the players, we've got to criticize the officials too. And it's me, Gabe and I, we've been so surprised at, constantly the response in the comment section have been so much about don't attack the umpires. You can't make fun of the umpires. It's not their fault. And it's like, okay, but we criticize the players, right? And so it's kind of got to go hand in hand. And I'm not saying open season on umpires, but I think that it should be fair when there's reason that calls for it. Because you have everyone and their brother on YouTube or on TV, they're dissecting every aspect of every player's game. So, I think it's okay to, get some criticism out there, and that's how we grow and whatnot. But, it is what it is. I wouldn't want to be judged as a teacher, but the public eye, that would be horrible. Yeah. So, I can't really speak. It
does burn when you make a mistake. I've been there. You want to get everything right, but you can't. Someone's got to do it at the end of the day. Right. They cop so much umpires, but really they want to do everyone. Basically, what I'm trying to say, us as fans and us as umpires want to get the correct decision. That's all we want to get. With DRS, technology will help that, but technology is not always 100%. Ball tracking, umpires call, whatever. But at the end of the day, if you get the right decision, everyone's happy. And that's what you want. And, do you like DRS, Nick and Gabe? Is there some sort of review system in baseball that they use? Do you like that idea that umpires have that sort of system to fall back on?
You've got to have a review system, absolutely. But I don't like how it's there to help just the umpires. I think it should be there just to help what is the right decision. And if it's the right decision, then that should be the right decision. It shouldn't favor one or the other. But yes, absolutely. If there wasn't a review system, then it would be absolutely infuriating.
Yeah, they do have review systems in baseball. Instant replay, football has come along, because back to our conversation earlier, sports is big business, okay? And listen, just like I tell everyone else, gambling's illegal in a lot of places, but you go to any country, pick up any paper and they got spreads, they got favorites. Why do I need to know who the favorite is if I'm not betting? Or what do I need to know what the spread is if I'm not, you know what I mean? Like it's built into it. So especially for those people who gamble, whether it's legally or illegally, you know what I mean? Those things matter, man. There's so much money involved, not to mention bonuses for the players and as a former player, or as a parent of a player who's currently playing, one in college, one in high school, right? That one umpire's call can change my at bat. That one umpire's call can change my one inning as a pitcher. He misses a strike that should have been called, a third strike. The guy walks down. Now I got to face another batter. That guy hits a double. He just blew up my numbers. And it matters. It all matters, because sports, unfortunately, sports is business. It's no longer about just having fun. If you're playing sports at any level, if you're in high school, it's to try to get a scholarship to go to college. If you're in college, it's to try to go pro and make money. But it's a business, and there's a lot of people making money off of it. You got to get it right, especially if you've got the technology to get it right. And I think, to me, that's the thing that chaps me. If you've got the technology to get it right, get it right. Don't just because of some arbitrary rule. Well, you only got 2 challenges. Does that change the fact that the call was wrong? Just because I'm out of challenges, the call was wrong. And I've seen that happen. Now, Tim Payne, and you know what I'm talking about. Yes, he shouldn't have done it. But did that change the fact that the call was wrong? No. So if you can get it right from the booth, fix it. Help that umpire out. That's all I'm saying. So the way that they employ DRS, just like and it's the same thing in Major League Baseball, it drives me crazy. They know there was a mistake. They know there was a bad call, but because the team is out of challenges, they won't change that. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said there. That's right.
Oh,
Umpiring's about
agreeing with an umpire. Oh my gosh.
That's a rarity, isn't it? No, but umpiring's about a team. When you see a game of cricket, you see umpires signal to each other at, who's at square leg. They signal between balls. How many balls left in the over? Did it come off the bat or the pad? You're trying to help your mate out, really, because pretty much you're a team. There's 3 teams in cricket: the 2 teams that are on the field and the officiating team. And the third team doesn't get talked about a lot. So it's very important. You've got to be a team. You've got to support your mate, as we say here in Australia. Support your mate, because it is tough. Players are going to be, disgruntled and angry and carry on like that. You're taught from a young age in cricket, when you learn cricket, is to always respect the umpire's decision, either good or bad. You don't carry on like an idiot, because you lose respect that way.
Right.
That's important, because that's pretty much what the spirit of cricket is: respecting everyone, opposition, the team you're playing for, be gracious in victory or defeat, match officials, all that stuff. So it is a hard job from experience, especially when you're umpiring, looking down at the front foot and then looking up. Picking no balls is hard. It's a craft, as I said before, and you really got to master that. Other things, decision making, making those decisions, you just got to master it. And it's very important that we don't put people off from umpiring at lower levels, because we need them, because we don't have many. So it's very important to promote people to umpiring. And it's a good way to stay in the game if you've got an injury and you can't play anymore. Most people umpire until like they're 70 or something. There's no age limit, because pretty much umpires don't really have a cutoff age. I think it's a bit different in all other sports where you have a cutoff age in terms of retirement. But in cricket, you can umpire up until you're like 60 or something internationally. So you can still do it for a long period of time. But it's a great way of staying involved in the game and giving back. At the end of the day, you're giving back to the game that's given so much to you. That's very important. The game is not bigger than the individual. The game is always bigger than us. You should always give back. No matter what, be a volunteer at a club or something. Be the president, be the treasurer, do the scoring or make the teas or the lunches like some people do. I think we do that well in Australia. Banding together with that camaraderie. It's very important. And that's what cricket's about. It's about playing in a team, even though it's an individual sport, but it's a team. That's just my view on it. And umpiring's a team. Sure, Gabe, you're going to have your opinions about umpires and bad calls and all that stuff, but it just happens.
I hear you. And honestly, I think that's sports in general. You know what I mean? It's something where when we're talking about sports, it's about that the spirit of the game, and it's about everyone being a part of the game. And whether I play for the New York Yankees or not, which I don't obviously, even as a spectator, I'm a part of the game and respecting the game. And I think that's why we all love sports, right? That's why we're here now. And unless you're a fan, and by definition, fan means fanatic, right? Unless you're a fan of a sport, you don't get it. And I know people will tell me right now, like I know people that have zero interest in sports, and you don't get it. That you do not get it unless you're a fan and you're invested in the sport.
What improvements should the ICC make to the decision review system? Let us know in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe to Cricket for Americans Boring Reviews and The Final Reaction. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell to get the latest episodes of the podcast, and like and share our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. Until next time, keep safe and bye for now.